Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. I am your host, Eric Harrell. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media and everywhere you get your podcast. Links are in the description. With us today is a very special guest.
Hi, my name is Nita. I have a photography business called Nita Ann Photography, and I shoot everything on my iPhone here in Nashville, Tennessee. I've shot over 400 plus clients in only 2.5 years of my business, which regards including models, influencers, musicians, weddings, all the above, all with just an iPhone. And I'm happy to be here at the Model Connection podcast.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Model Connection podcast. So, give me a brief history lesson. Tell me about yourself.
Of course. My name is Nita. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, but been living here in Nashville for about 9 years. And I'm so happy to be here in Nashville just because it's such a great entertainment community. And that's my true passion, being involved in an entertainment community. And I went to school for music business and at MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University.
Right.
For 6 years. And went in wanting to make a difference in the entertainment scene. So I didn't know necessarily what I was going to be good at. I've tried dancing, acting, singing, all the above, but just to understand how it all worked. And ironically became an iPhone photographer for a living.
Okay, and that is what brought you down here from Ohio?
Mm-hmm. Being involved in the music scene.
In the music scene, actually. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did the music scene lead you to photography?
Yeah, school. Yeah, originally, I mean, I'm not gonna try to sound crazy, but I try to follow my dreams and like become a female producer, you know?
Okay.
Like my idols at the time were like Timbaland, Dr. Luke, and all of them. And,
All right.
and times have changed. And I've realized that going into it, I didn't really have the heart for being in a studio all day, to be honest. And then I pursued other adventures in the college world and did some. I took marketing classes and I took classes that were more involved in the business scene. And the only problem was there were just a few doors that were like available for people who were going to school for music business. But luckily, when I graduated, because of my music business degree and my marketing skill set mindset, I was able to make my hobby during COVID into a full-time job, which is shooting on my iPhone for a living. And during COVID, it was hard to get a music business, job or anything once I graduated right during COVID.
Okay, now you bring up a very interesting point. You shoot on your iPhone.
I do, literally. And I tell people all the time when I go to networking events, in my 60-second speeches, I shoot on my iPhone, I shoot on my iPhone, I shoot on my iPhone, just so I can get that nailed into people's brains. Well, because like what I do, I show people what I do and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I'm also very aware that I have to educate others.
Yes. Also educate me. Because I had a former guest on here that I will go ahead and say that I raked over the coals pretty hard because this person only shot with iPhone, okay? I guess I did that because I did not understand it. I guess that I felt you would not be taken totally serious if all you used was an iPhone because, hey, I'm one of the guys that's got the big bulky camera, the strobes, the lights. I mean, I got the whole 9 yards, okay?
Yeah.
I just had a hard time understanding it. Okay, now you only shoot with an iPhone?
Yeah.
Come on.
And I don't blame you though for thinking that because I still shock myself. It's a game changer. I mean, think about it. Technology has evolved over the years. Like it's at the point where we can just get paid driving around, dropping off food at people's houses.
And who'd have thought that?
Right. Who'd have thought that? And that was a nice little side job too.
Years ago, Mom said, "Now don't you ever get into cars with strangers, okay?"
Right. Yeah.
And here we are calling Uber and Lyft.
It's more reliant than cabs. I feel more safer in Ubers than cabs. Isn't that crazy?
Right. Okay, then. Okay, Nita, if we can, I would like to do a little role play with you. Change this up a little bit, okay?
Go ahead.
I want to be a client, a prospective client, coming to you asking or or to hire you for, just say, the family photos, okay?
Mhm.
I want you to convince me that you can do just as good a job with your iPhone as I could with the camera, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, now I know you've had a whole lot of practice doing this, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I want to start off by saying, okay, okay, Miss Ann, you come recommended to me by others that I have talked to. They say your photography is really good, but they would not tell me what your secret is. Um, I've I'm looking for someone that would just take images, photos of my parents and myself. Both of my parents are aging.
Mhm.
I just want that memory to have, okay? And you come highly recommended. So, first question I want to ask you is what camera do you use?
Yeah. So anytime when I have to bring up, especially in person, about what I use,
Mhm.
I show them my work first,
Okay.
and then I tell them I shoot everything on my iPhone. And then the marketing is what comes into play. Is some people care, some people don't care, and when they do care and they ask those questions, you shoot on your iPhone? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark?
Yes.
Um, Normally when they see my work, they're like, "Wow, this is versatile," just like when I showed you earlier.
Right. Uh-huh.
That kind of puts into play that the work is going to be good quality. But then, of course, it's also my marketing strategy. When I shoot on my iPhone, I tell people all the time I'm high quality, quick service, and I also give out reasonable price photos. So to them, I guess it feels like they're not losing that much out of it with getting quick service done at the same time. Because normally my photo shoots only take 15 to 45 minutes per person. And I normally get 2 to 3 clients a day. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. And also, when I give them back their photos, they normally get their previews the day of, and then they get the rest in 1 to 3 days. So, right there is a bit of a comfort mark, especially when I tell them that when they go through the photos themselves right after the shoot, they choose the ones that they like. And so, I have a module plan little on my
Mhm.
iPad where if they like 10 photos, it's $80. If they wanted 20 photos, it's like $100. So it's like always up to them how many they like. There's like this safe precaution of what am I getting out of this and do I get to choose and all that stuff. My clients always choose their photos and always make sure that they feel comfortable with their photo shoots and everything, and it doesn't take long. So,
Why should I come to you to photograph my family when I can get my cousin's nephew that's got
to shoot on the
iPhones? Right,
iPhone,
right.
yeah.
How are you better?
Well, this is based off of what people say. They
Okay.
say that you could always get your cousin, your brother,
Mhm.
your
Right,
friends to shoot, but at
right.
the end of the day, it's always about the eye, the lighting, and the editing. Because as you can see, I don't have 20, 30 lenses on my camera. It's all shot on the 3 beautiful lenses that's built in the phone. And a lot of people look at my work and they say, "How do you do this kind of photography and this kind of photography and this kind of photography with just the iPhone?" A lot of it has to do with my editing skills, which helps me differentiate a lot of my photo shoots, like car photography, neon photography,
Mhm.
wedding photography requires all different types of editing. And a
Okay.
lot of your photographers do one type of, normally, sometimes stick with one type of photography
Right,
styles.
right.
But I am a variety. I do vintage photography, Polaroid photography, wedding photography, car photography, and they're all different types of editing styles.
Do you have people that still have a hard time taking you
Of
serious?
course, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not just out here um, showing off, saying, "Hey, I'm good. I'm shooting on my iPhone." I'm also
Mhm.
out here to educate. And I did have clients before where they were just like what you said, I could have just did it myself.
Mhm.
But little
Right.
do they know that it's mostly the angles that really makes it look super cool and super
Mhm.
creative. Like
Exactly.
I don't knock people if they want to do it themselves. And at this point, some people actually like working with me because I'm building a name. Like they're always saying, "Nita, one day you're gonna be like iPhone 15 face holding the phone, commercials. I just want to work with you just because I know you. And I'm like, yeah, because there's not a lot of people doing it. And some people just like special and different and unique. And people get their names up there. I literally just had my work on Nashville Sign's billboard recently for a whole week. One artist of the week, and I didn't even enter. I don't know how I got there. I just think word of mouth, some way, somehow. But I was just so shocked by the opportunity. There's not a lot of photographers that get their work on billboards.
Right, right.
Like I said, 2.5 years in this business. Just never know.
What is your favorite style of photography?
I like the styles where people are shocked that you can do it on the iPhone, like neon, nighttime shoots, and all that stuff. They're my favorites because that also comes into the editing kind
Mhm.
of play, and that's just what I'm good at too as well. And I like the ones where it shocks people, like what, that's shot on the iPhone. Those are my favorite, and I'm not picky. And it's funny to me too because, like I said, I didn't go to school for photography, and so I feel like I'm also having a platform to speak on for people who can't necessarily afford very expensive cameras, but they have a
True.
passion for it. And I'm out here, I don't really have I didn't have a huge passion for photography. It was just always involvement in entertainment scene and making a difference. And so now that I know I'm able to do that with the platform of being good at shooting on my iPhone, I also want to encourage and inspire others who are super into photography and want to use a different tool if they wanted to.
Are you using just the
Yes,
iPhone,
I do not own a camera.
or are there apps and accessories that you use with it?
I don't use an app. There are preferences on YouTube. I've watched YouTube people like talk about shooting on the iPhone, and they do suggest like using different apps because there's people who use cameras and they're used to having manual control.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, with the iPhone, I don't mess with anything. It's just automatic.
Okay.
It's just quicker and easier. But people who are manly, like have skills backed up into using camera for years, they're just
Yeah.
used to having control over the settings. And I would recommend to people who are just interested in learning how to shoot on the iPhone to use the apps to like control the settings. But for
Mhm.
me, I never have to. I never had to.
Well,
I mean, I feel like it's useful in certain aspects, obviously, especially if you're filming because the lighting is automatic and sometimes you want it to be a certain way the
mhm.
entire time. But at the same time, the iPhones are getting better every year. So at this point,
Oh,
it's gonna start
yes.
happening where you might have control over it.
Right. I mean, I think that the the newest iPhone probably has more megapixels than the camera that I just kind of retired into my backup bag.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, okay,
It's
now.
catching up.
Yes.
And every
Yes.
year my business gets better every year.
So tell me, I think I think you just touched on it. I mean, I see on Facebook all these apps for iPhone editors, editing software. You say, nah, I just don't bother with that stuff. I just use my eye and what the camera would do on its own.
So a lot of people do ask me like, what do I use?
Yeah.
I use the straight up camera on the phone. I just use that, and a lot of people ask me, do if I shoot in RAW? Um, Sometimes, but sometimes I actually forget we have that option on the phone, and I don't really use it or think about it that much. But normally, I I use the RAW camera, and I edit in Lightroom. That is
Okay.
it. For fancy, cool stuff, I would use other apps to apply a certain effect, but I'm so picky. I literally study people's work, like for example, film photography.
Hmm.
Sometimes I like to emulate things
Yeah.
to where it looks like it could have been shot on an actual camera, you know? And I like to study different types of genres of photography. So sometimes I will emulate those looks, and it does require some apps to capture that
Hmm.
aspect, and that's the creativity part of it.
Okay. Now, I want to take a look at these images. You were nice enough to bring some images with you that you
Oh,
shot with your iPhone.
yes.
I want to see these images. And if you will, um, I- I'm going to ask you to be as a visually descriptive of his images
Okay.
because we've got people that are listening,
Mm-hmm.
and I want your description to try to entice those people to watch this episode after they listen to it, okay?
Yeah.
So let's look at your first image here
Okay.
and tell me what we are looking at and everything that you remember about it, okay?
Oh, that is an image of a guitar player named Jacob Mann who is playing at a concert in, I want to say, in Kentucky.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the Mercury Ballroom, I
All
believe.
right.
And they were actually opening up for Steel Panther. And I got invited to take photos for their band called All or Nothing.
All right.
And that shot was taken perfectly at that venue. And his hair's flipping all over the place.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of people might ask, which mode did you use it in, Nita, for your phone? 1X portrait mode. 1X. And of course, it's all colorful and bright and pretty.
Right,
and
yes,
people might ask, like, is it Photoshop? No, I don't use Photoshop. Yeah, I'm one of those. But yeah, and it's straight up just, I'm really good with contrasting and making things look pretty cool, I guess.
Okay.
Ooh, this is funny because a lot of people crack me up. They say, like, this is like shot in Vegas, which I just literally left Vegas last week and to do a photo shoot for Great White. And this is not. This is shot in Dave & Buster's. Yeah. So basically, it's a guy who's posed next to the Pac-Man sign board. It's like LED type. On the side, you can't really tell, but when you look forward, it's like, oh, that's the Pac-Man game up on a wall in the game area in Dave & Buster's. And I took that photo there, like, maybe that was on my iPhone 12 Pro at the time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and it's just bright, pretty neon. I call it that. To me, that's neon photography.
Okay.
That was also on the billboard too in Nashville Signs, one of the ones that they shared.
Wow.
That's my product photography. So my client needed some advertisement for her products, and she did not know what she was getting herself into, but she just knew I did good work. She trusted it, and she's been referred by a lot of people to work with me. And she was probably honestly thinking one thing, and it turned out to be so much better. I did not imagine it to look like this. She literally got the little shopping cart from Amazon. It's tiny, like super tiny. And so luckily I was able to get super up close to it and buy a Walmart black sheet to put on the rails and shot outside. So you would never know. It was like a shot in a little studio or something.
Yeah. It does have that look.
Yeah, but made it work, and it looks bright and pretty and gold, and it looks like I did the job by making her products look commercialized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good job there. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. And next?
Ooh, another neon type photography. What would you call that? Or is it just portrait?
Portrait, yes. Good question. Now you stumped the host here. Yes, I would call it portrait. I call it lifestyle.
Yeah.
Lifestyle.
And this is one of my favorites because her photo shoot took 10 minutes. She just wanted 10 good photos for $80, and it took almost 10 minutes. She knows how to model. She's also a model too. She knows how to model. And we went there, and she wanted to get some photos done. It was at Game Terminal, by the way. And I also have the privilege to, take photos on my phone because there's no rule to not take photos with your phone in places like that.
True.
Mm.
Okay, and here is another image of a former guest on the Model Connection podcast.
Yeah. And this was shot literally in front of the Jason Aldean sign over there on Broadway.
Okay, help me understand something. In front of her left eye, is that for glasses or what?
Say that one more time. Is it what?
In front of her left eye.
Her glasses?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's her glasses? Okay.
Yeah, it's her glass. She has dragonfly glasses.
I'm trying to see the right side, and I'm on, okay, now what's going on here? What the heck? Huh? I see the left side. Now, where's the right side? Oh.
But yeah, it was fun. It was shot and it was shot at night. I think it was during the summertime because it was kind of hot. But yeah, and we shot all around Broadway. And one thing about me too as a photographer, I like to go with the flow.
Mhm.
I don't stress out too much about location. Like obviously it depends on the shoot, but normally if my clients are pretty free range and just want to go for whatever we see,
Mhm.
obviously we were aiming for neon colorful
Yeah.
lights. Um, but yeah, and it always works out. Something cool and creative.
The neon lights of downtown Broadway, in my mind, always makes a good background.
Mhm.
But you got so many people walking by. I mean,
I try to avoid the people. I
yes,
try to always find places that are like not a lot of people, obviously. Yeah, because you don't want the clients feeling uncomfortable or anything. Or
if you had a favorite place to shoot, what would it be? Where would it be?
are we talking about? Doesn't matter the genre.
Doesn't matter.
I don't really know. I don't really have a favorite. I mean, obviously, places where there's not a lot of people.
Right.
It's just a lot easier for my clients and a lot easier for me. I mean, there was a time too where I did a photo shoot where where a lady was wearing like rave outfit, and to her it felt very revealing to be seen out in public.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge was finding a place where there wasn't a lot of people and outdoors, but with a whitish background so her outfit can pop.
Okay.
And it literally took like maybe an hour and a half to find a spot, but we luckily was able to find a spot secluded and made the photo shoot work outdoors, and it worked out.
One thing that is in your advantage is with the cell phone, you can just have it in your hip
On the go,
pocket.
exactly.
Nobody suspects anything what you're doing.
Right?
When you find the location, okay, let's do it. Bam, bam, you got it. Okay,
Yep.
okay, we're done.
I don't have any extra gear of lighting or anything.
I
Only
know.
for concert shoots, sometimes I will bring like a handheld device and stuff.
Okay.
Um, just to have better control over lighting. But other than that, most of my shoots are outdoors, and I don't bring any extra lighting or anything. No.
Mm-hmm. Great, great.
Mm-hmm.
Outdoor shoots compared to indoor shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Your preference, you said, is outdoor shoots, correct?
Yeah, only because, well, yeah. I, all at the same time, like for the record, I as a photographer, I'm still learning, and there's so many times where I try to avoid indoor shoots, but then sometimes they turn out really good because at the end of the day, it's all about how much lighting
Mm-hmm.
is available.
Right.
I try to avoid the fluorescent lighting, but obviously when you do event photography, you gotta do fluorescent lighting, but it still turns out pretty good depending on how you edit. So that's one thing I'm learning.
Have you had another photographer that you have, I would say, looked up to as a mentor, or are you basically self-taught?
Both.
Both. Okay.
So mentor wise, um, I don't really talk to like other photographers, but I stalk the crap out of their work. I do. There's photographers that are out in across seas that are really good. They
Mhm.
don't shoot on their iPhone, but they shoot on their camera,
Right.
and I just love their work, and I will watch it and look at it and just like study it, and I'm like, that's kind of how I learn and grow and try to get better. I'm really good at emulating.
Mhm.
And obviously as the iPhone gets better, the pixelation that's obviously out of my control gets better too. And so it starts to match up with what people always say. It looks like it's shot on a DSLR.
That was going to be somewhat my next question. What gives you your creativity?
um, what gives me my creativity? Far as are we talking about like in editing or just shooting on the
Shooting it
iPhone?
on the iPhone.
Um, ah, so I'm really good at like vibing with people.
Okay.
And normally, when I give them a little bit of control of what they're wanting to do in free form, I feel like that's what brings the best out of the photos. I always tell people it takes two to tango to make
Right.
something look really good. And that's why I shoot so many people. But then you also see my product photography, and I'm just like, well, I guess that's just me.
I've I've always told people that whenever I photograph a model, I want to learn as much about that person as possible beforehand
Yes.
because I want to be able to laugh and cut up with her when the
Yes.
time allows it.
Yeah.
And I also want to know that whenever it's time to be serious, we're going to be serious, okay?
Right.
And I feel in doing this podcast, it gives to those out there the insight
Mhm.
of who Nita Ann is. Yes, your images are great, but what what do they really know about you by your images? Okay.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I love social media at the moment
Mm-hmm.
because I'm able to share that I'm not just a photographer. Like many people know me as, oh, not only does she shot her iPhone, but she also um has this independent spirit,
Mm-hmm.
creativity spirit. She doesn't work a 9 to 5.
Right.
I talk about how my life changed when I realized financial literacy is important.
How do you use the various social media outlets?
I use that to, like I said, to inspire others. Because, like I said, there's a lot of people that are into photography and go to school for it. I did
Mm-hmm.
not do that, but I try to like have a platform for people who are like super into it and just want to understand how you can make into a living. Because that's one of the struggles nowadays. Is a lot of photographers struggle to like make photography into a living, and especially here in Nashville, like there's so many of them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing I didn't really think too much about or worry too much about. I was just more concerned of making sure that my content is out there for people to see, that it is shot on an iPhone, and I try to make myself as unique as possible, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And that just helps me stand out. And obviously, I did get a lot of slack for people like wondering why my prices were so low compared to your average photographer.
Right.
But like I
Right.
said, my purpose was different. I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to like
Okay.
share, and the money will come. Entrepreneur mindset. And that's one thing I want to do is like just be able to create a platform for others to be like, hey, if you want to show on your iPhone, you're super passionate about it, there might be a way for you in if you're interested in like doing something as
Mm-hmm.
a side job, career, just want to help your grandma out, get some cool photos on your own phone. I'm a big independent person.
Okay.
So I like advocating for people who want to do stuff on their own, like just use your phone.
This just occurred to me, and I will ask this: weddings.
Weddings.
Have you shot weddings on your cell phone?
I've shot 15 weddings
How did
in
that go?
2.5, 3, probably 3 years.
Wow.
Um, Great. I feel like there was no big issue. Okay, but it was definitely a big lesson learned because I'm an introvert.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm not afraid to say it. And I tell people that all the time. I'm just like, look, it's not gonna take too long to do this shoot. I'm an introvert. I'm really quick. We're gonna do this real quick. And then they're just laughing and like, oh, I
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah.
Half of my clients are probably introverts, but yeah. But yeah, I've learned that my pricing has to be obviously a little different
Mm-hmm.
from my one-on-one shoots.
Oh yes.
But it
Yes.
still works out to where, for example, I just recently did a shoot, charged her $1,000, and she paid me 500 to get her booked, and then she paid me the 500 after the shoot was
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Worked out perfectly. I did her photos. That's all she wanted was just photos. Sometimes they hire me to do videos too. But yeah, and so I did the photos. She literally got her previews that day, and she got the rest in 1 to 5 days.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
you are there for anything before the wedding, the reception.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, the beginning of the ceremony, a little bit before the ceremony,
Yes.
obviously, reception, and yeah. So I'm normally there for like between 4 to 8 hours,
Right. Right.
depending on the wedding.
And video with your iPhone.
Mhm.
How does that work out?
I shot a music video for,
Okay.
but this wasn't the first music video. I've shoot plenty of video content for a lot of people who need reels. And there's a lot of artists and musicians who need reels.
Okay.
And I shoot a lot of video content for people who just need like cool slow-mo shots and a lot of content for 15-second stuff for their Canva or their little boomerangs for Spotify, like a lot of artists. I work with a lot of artists. And those always come in handy. Plus, I also take videos for myself for my own behind the scenes because they always go well. Seeing the video quality of the iPhone, thank God for that cinematic mode, and the photos going along with it. So it
Yes.
makes me look good. It's great marketing for my end of seeing how the video is and also the photos and the behind the scenes and all that stuff. But I shot my first music video, um, got paid really good money, and also they posted on YouTube and it got over 200K views. Yeah, it was for the ladies named Shandellas, and they're a cool local here in Nashville. And it was such a great opportunity. They literally picked me because they knew I shot on my iPhone and they were looking for more of a, for the first time, I've shot on iPhone, like, music video. I think that's a trend now.
Could be, could be.
Ever since Steven Spielberg said he shot a movie on an iPhone, people hit me up so hard and said, Nita, we thought of you. And I was like, yeah.
Where do you see yourself? I'm just going to say a year from now.
Hopefully Apple is like, hey, we need you for these commercials and we'll pay you a buttload. Since you're out here making this into a career, we could like inspire other people to make that into a career, you know? That's my marketing brain.
Ah.
But hopefully something like that happens or maybe something better. Like I literally just told a friend of mine, one day my work is gonna be on a billboard in Nashville. I don't know how, I don't know what, but I'm hoping in my head, I'm thinking, Apple, thank you. But instead, Nashville's Culture Arts just hit me up and just said, hey, we're gonna put your work on a billboard between these days for the rest of this week. And I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. It wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but it's close enough.
Okay, so those are your goals?
As an entrepreneur, obviously, I really want to grow in the entertainment scene in general and also make a platform for shooting on your iPhone and inspire other photographers. And in a way, I have this mindset of one day either building something from the ground or teaching more online because I have an online teaching platform too where I teach my version of how I shot on my iPhone. I had a lot of trial and error, so I'm just helping people out if they just want to like know the details and make it
Mm-hmm.
their own side business.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach online pre-recorded videos for anyone who's interested of learning more about iPhone photography, my version, and just growing from there and just seeing how that goes and continue to keep experiencing stuff. And I'm still at the part where I've been doing this for 2.5 years, but I want my name out there so much further. I think that's my goal. I want my name to be exposed out there so much further, shooting on the iPhone, the capabilities and all that stuff, to, you know, where it just grows, where people are like, oh, wow, it's a thing, you know? Like, because now that I shot, the 80s hair metal band from back in the day, Great White,
Mm-hmm.
they were impressed. And I'm like, okay, 2.5 years of doing this and we're here. And I'm curious to see how much further it grows, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Where do you see photography going? More cell phones?
it's all about convenience. Like you could use people crack me up because they're like, so do you think iPhone photography is just gonna be like the new wave thing? And I'm like, I mean, that's up to you. Like if some people don't use Google Maps or maps to figure out directions, they still prefer MapQuest. So it's like up to you what's convenient for you or what you prefer. That's kind of how I see with anything that's new technology that could be convenient for anybody or easier for people
Mm-hmm.
or just, you know, because like a lot of people have phones. And if
Everybody has a phone now.
oh, yeah. And now that the cameras are getting better on it and content is crucial, the more and more time goes on, I feel like it could be helpful for people creating their own content or using that as a side hustle too. So,
Wow.
but yeah, I don't ever knock though the use of camera, even though I don't own a camera and I don't use one, but I do know the importance of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still try to teach myself the tools of using an actual camera, learning the manual, learning the f-stops, learning the
Right.
aperture.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to be out here, you know, trying to educate others when I'm not even that well educated.
True.
Yeah,
True.
I think it's so important to know both. It's so important to know both because it started somewhere, obviously, and I think it's like leading little path for iPhones too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Okay. You have only been in the business, let's say 2 years.
yeah.
Is it anything like you thought it was beforehand?
Business wise, or
Yes, business-wise.
Hmm. To be honest, the business is easy. The business is actually,
How?
well, because I don't have a lot of equipment like your average camera photographer does.
True,
I don't have
true,
to worry about any damages like your average photographer does.
true.
The only thing I guess I have to worry about is making sure my phone is charged.
Fully charged.
And I don't have any extra lighting either. So it's very convenient. And I think the only thing I have to worry about is taxes,
Mm.
now that I have a business of my own. And then a lot of people do ask, do you have like people write contracts? And I'm like, no, I don't. Now it'd be different. Now it depends on the amount of money that I'm like receiving, but because my money that I'm receiving isn't like super like a lot or huge, and people are like, "Well, doesn't it matter though? Like even if," and I'm just like, "Look, all I know is that I'm like a quick stop and shop go kind of like photographer. Like that's what I mean, but I'm kind of changing it up a little bit. Like
Mhm.
so many people come to me for like 15-minute photo shoots. Boom, I just made $100 in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's it. And 2 to 3 clients normally in a day, and that's my life. And now it's at the point where I'm flying to Florida to do a concert shoot for Great White, and mass crowds and like doing my job like I normally do, but just bigger scale. And so, yeah.
Anyone looking up at you and what you have accomplished in such a short period of time, they will say, if it's that easy, why isn't everybody doing it?
Oh, so I guess it's a little different because for me, technically, business wise, it's not as hard as another person's business. Now I have to make that kind of clear
Yes.
because most people have to deal with employees and, startups, marketing, all that stuff. Mine's a little different. I'm freelancer. When you work with so many people at reasonable prices, spread word. It's a little quicker. My marketing's a little bit different, but it doesn't mean that photography in general is easy because it's not, especially for a lot of people. Like I think it's like singing. Like there's people who are natural born singers. There's people
Mhm.
who have to work at it, and I feel like it's kind of the same with photography. Like there's people just naturally gifted at the eye and content and the lighting and all that, but then there's people who have to like work at it. And so like I don't ever mean to like knock that in any kind of way when it comes to like the photography aspect or the creative aspect. And it still took practice for me because if you see my first edits when I was shooting on an iPhone, it's like, what? Oh, excuse me? But like everyone has to be bad somewhere in the beginning in order to become great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely took a lot of practice.
What has a photography taught you that you didn't already know?
One thing photography has taught me that I probably didn't know was, I guess, the art aspect. And people are different. I did not mean to say that loud. People, people are different, and
Yes, we are.
yeah.
We're different. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because like with certain photographers, I feel like they are very particular to just different, like to particular of the same angles.
Mhm.
I've learned that I have to literally switch up my angles and guide my clients to pose differently in order to get what they like, you
Mhm.
know? And so that's what I mean by like people are different because I can't replicate the same. Ooh, to be honest, I can't replicate the same edits. I can't replicate the same um, angles because, like I said, people are different. And so, with my editing skills, they change per person. That's probably why I have like so many saved presets.
Mhm.
But that's the beauty of it because everyone's character and look and is different. When you go on my Instagram, everyone's like photo is like different, and all the edits are different. So it's pretty cool and interesting from what I've learned.
You said earlier to be sure your camera is fully charged. What has
hmm
been your biggest challenge in using your cell phone?
People ask me like, "Do you run out of space?" And I'm like, surprisingly, no. But I feel like
iCloud's got to be full.
the phone space is just magnificently beautiful because like, so if I did a shoot and took like 500 photos and they end up liking it and I send them their edits of the ones they liked, I just delete the photos after that And so it doesn't really affect my space that much as most people would think. And I shoot many different types of photos. And I think because every year I get a new phone. Thank God for the jump plan with T-Mobile. Every year I get a new phone, and so I keep buying the one with more space.
Okay.
And I have no issues, like literally no issues. But yeah, and that's why I kind of recommend people if they do want to get like into iPhone photography, I do recommend the highest gigabyte. And you're good. I mean, that also depends on how many shoots you get because I get a lot of shoots, and a lot of people who concerts is where it eats up your space the most, technically.
Yes.
But like I said, once I get done with the shoot and give them their photos, they're deleted. So it's not that much of an effect.
Okay, now I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to get your thoughts together.
Yeah.
But what I want you to do is I want you to say just a minute or two promotional video on your service, okay?
Mm.
So now I want you to look at the camera over here and do a promo for your business, okay?
Mhm.
So just take a couple of minutes to think about what you say, and I want you to do your promo video, okay?
Should I start saying my name in the beginning and all
Yeah.
that?
Okay, you are promoting yourself, okay?
Yeah.
So.
I low-key wanna, like, get my iPad out and be like, "Am I allowed to do that?" Ugh. But, yeah. So get myself together.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nita, and I'm a professional iPhone photographer here in Nashville, Tennessee, who shot 400 plus clients, including musicians, influencers, shot weddings, car photography, anything you can name. I was also on the news as well, shooting on my iPhone as the iPhone photographer. I've been known on the Nashville Signs billboard for Artist of the Week, and I even got the opportunity to shoot for Great White, which is the 80s hair metal band from back in the day, and all their photos are recently done by me. I've had the greatest opportunity to explore from Florida to Las Vegas a bunch of times in only a year. And I am happy to inspire others, educate. And if you need high quality photos at reasonable prices, feel free to message me. I am always available because I shoot 2 to 3 clients a day. So if you're interested in getting cool photos done and received in 1 to 3 days, please don't hesitate to message me, email me, whatever you decide. My business is Nita Nashville Photography on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, almost pretty much any social media service that you use. So please contact me if you're interested.
Nita Ann, you have been just a delight to talk with, and I have thoroughly enjoyed meeting you. I still cannot get over people using cell phones in place of these big, bulky $5,000 cameras.
Me too. We're in the same boat. I mean, I think I broke a record this month so far, and it's still not what your obviously professional photographer will make, but for me, it's a big deal that so far it's only been like half into this month, and
Okay.
I've already made $4,000 in low pricing, but working with so many clients. Not that many. Well, so many. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I've worked with platinum a couple clients, and I felt like I broke that little barrier. I've told people I make $5K a month, and that's like a progress in only 2.5 years of my business of shooting people. But now I've like hit 4K in half the week, and I'm just like, props to myself.
Okay. So again, people can find you on Facebook, Instagram.
Yes, Facebook, Instagram. I want to say Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter. YouTube definitely, and yeah, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That is where I'm at. In case if people want to know me more, Instagram and YouTube for sure, and Facebook and all that stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Anita Ann, thank you for being my guest on this edition of the Mall Connections podcast. You are so delightful, and I am so glad you chose to be here tonight, okay?
Thank you for having me, and thanks to Dennis for referring me to you.
Yes, he did. Okay. Thank you so very much. And everyone that is listening. Goodbye. Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media and everywhere you get your podcast. Links are in the description. Thank you and bye-bye.